Welcome back. So today I want to do an installation on the vCenter. vCenter is actually used to manage multiple hosts. So if you have in your environment more than one host machine, then you can use your vCenter as the central management console to manage the 2, 3, 4 host machines that you have. I currently have one host, and the same vCenter is going to be managing that. I already installed it. It's working fine. So I'm just going to show us the installation. Prerequisites to this: you need to set up your DNS environment properly. You need to have your forward lookup, your AA record. You need to have your reverse lookup, which is like the pointer. So those two needs to be properly set up. You also need to set up your NTP, the time. I think there is Google Time. There is another one, but you can Google that. There is the setting for time needs to be properly set, and then your DNS entries also needs to be properly set. And then after that, you can start the installation. If you start the installation before or prior to that, you're probably going to be having errors, fetch error, and things like that. So to save yourself the time or the troubleshooting issues, just ensure that you have on your host machine where you have your domain controller, ensure that you have your DNS properly set up. All right, let's get into the installation. So the first thing you want to do is to right click on the ISO and mount it. That's going to open up the folder where you have all the ISO files, installation files, and then you can begin from that. So click on open, and then go to the next one, which is the UI installer. Double click on that to open it up. Okay, go with the Win32-bit, and then you see the installer there. Double click on that to start the process. While you do that, it's going to run the setup file, and now we see the option is to install, and then move to the next level. At this point, you want to accept the EULA, the user license agreement. Accept that. Next, and then here you're going to point the VCSA to your host machine. That's where you want it installed, and so that's the IP of my host, and then the root and the password for the host machine. All right, and then the installer will upload. Yeah, this one is the certificate. Click yes. You always see this, so click yes to accept it. And then the next is to set up the host name for the VCSA on the host machine. So for me, I give it the VCSA 001, and that's the name that's going to appear on your ESXi machine as a VM. So put the name, and then we set the root password to the vCenter. Password. Okay, so I set the password. And then the next option is to select Tiny. That gives you opportunity to have 10 hosts managed under that. So you see the options here, and then on about 100 VMs. So next, and then you want to enable the thin disk mode. This saves space, so we'll click next, and now we configure the entries for the VCSA ISO. So you want to use your FQDN name, and then the host IP, the DNS entry, the gateway. So we're gonna leave it as static, and then we set up the IP address for the VCSA, all that would have been defined in your DNS. Otherwise, you're going to have errors during the installation. Just making sure that, yeah. So confirm that your VCSA entries are correct, and then we click on finish. This takes about 10 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to fast track that so that we don't waste time watching the video. Okay. All right, it's done. So the first phase is done. We're going to move to the second phase, which is the VCenter setup, the actual setup. Okay. All right. Next. So for the time synchronization, I'm going to use the synchronize with the ESXi host and then enable the SSH. And then that will run to next. Then set up the SSO. Here you're going to leave it as default, the vSphere.local, and then we set up the administrator's password. Okay, password, confirm password, and then give it the default vSphere. We don't need to change that, so we click on next, confirm. Now we can uncheck this. Since this is our lab, we don't need to join the VMware customer experience, so we can uncheck that. Click on next, and then confirm entries, and then finish. This will also take about another 10 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to fast track that also. All right, so we're going to fast track that. Okay. All right, so that is done. Stage 2 is complete, and at this point we are ready to browse our VCenter. All right, so that's the page. That's advanced, proceed, and then the next thing is to launch the vSphere client HTML5. All right. Now that leads us to this screen where you now have to enter the administrator's password, the credentials like we set up during the stage 2. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Paste that there. All right. Type in my password. And then click on login. Voila, the installation is complete. So that's the quick installation. We'll do another video for connecting the host to the vCenter.